in the Bible, early in creation, that was somewhat similar. It's a story of a woman, a mom, named Hagar. She started her life, her adult life at least, as a handmaiden, as a servant. She was the handmaiden to a woman named Sarah, the wife of Abraham. And because Abraham and Sarah wanted children so bad, and Sarah couldn't have children, Sarah came up with a great idea. She went to Abraham one day and she said, how about if we start our lineage through my handmaiden Hagar? Maybe she can carry our child and we'll take it as our own and we'll start our offspring. And Abraham said, well, whatever you think is right here. And so Abraham took Sarah's handmaiden Hagar and she became with child. But when she became pregnant, surprise, surprise, dissension arose between Sarah and Hagar. And there was jealousy in Sarah because of she wasn't pregnant and Hagar was. And then Hagar used to, I guess the way the story reads, would throw it back in Sarah's face a little bit. And Sarah was so upset. She came to Abraham and she said, this is unbearable. I can't do this. And Abraham said, well, what do you want to do? And Sarah said, well, I just want her out of the house. I want her out of here. And Abraham said, whatever you want. Do you notice what a great husband he is? Whatever she came and said, he said, whatever you say, dear. Well, I want you to make a baby with my handmaiden. Well, I know he was reluctant probably, but he said, well, whatever you want, dear. Now I want you to kick her out of the house. Whatever you want, dear. And so it's at this point that we're going to pick up the story. And Hagar has been kicked out of the house. She's with child. She has nowhere to go. She apparently has no family. She has no land. She has no people. She has nothing. She's carrying a child, and she's just out there by herself. And we pick the story up in Genesis chapter 16 and verse 7. It says, the angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert. It was the spring that is beside the road to Shur. And he said, Hagar, servant of Sarah, where have you come from? And where are you going? I'm running away from my mistress Sarah, she answered. Then the angel of the Lord told her, go back to your mistress and submit to her. The angel added, I will so increase your descendants that they will be too numerous to count. The angel of the Lord also said to her, you are now with child and you will have a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your misery. He will be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone and everyone's hand against him. How many knows this is not what you want to hear from the Lord when you're with a child? And he will live in hostility toward all his brothers. She gave this name to that the Lord who spoke to her. You are the God who sees me. I want you to hear what's saying. She gave a name to the Lord. She said, this will be your name as far as I'm concerned. You are the Lord who sees me. For she said, I have now seen the one who sees me. That is why the well was called Bir Lahai Roi. And it is still there between Kadesh and Bered. And of course that well, that word means well of the living one who sees me. That day, this woman, despite the ill forecast of this child that she was carrying, for her, as far as just it concerned her, this was a day where she walked into one of the deepest revelations she would ever walk into. In fact, it's a revelation that is so deep and so intense that it becomes so foundational that it's hard to build other foundations if this foundation does not become in some ways a cornerstone to our life. Because that day she was out there, she was by herself, she was carrying burdens that we couldn't even comprehend today probably, and maybe again some of you can comprehend a little bit. It was a heavy weight of life. And God showed up. And that day she got a revelation. He sees me.